time. I mean, AD or AC,
ACN, AC at the time.
AC at that time, that the 13 will not resume. What brought them to the assembly to resume their duty is the count of 180 days. We was about to lapse because they realized if it lapses and they fail
Their
to
seat would
show
have
up,
been declared
is
vacant.
it, yes, that is what drove them back to the house. But all efforts, all entreaties we made were revolved by them, or at the instance, at the pressure of this other rebel group, to me, rebel group of 11 at that time.
Okay, so E11 was put up to ensure that uh, Ekiti State really realized its potentials. But looking back now, not just at E11 and what is happening in Ekiti State, would you say that that state has fully realized its potentials?
The state was on the road to realizing its potential during Segun Oni's governance. I'll say this with sense of
What about
responsibility.
during Fahmi's first term?
During Fayemi's first term, the first error that occurred and which has put Ekiti in trouble was the 25 billion naira bond that Fayemi went to take.
Why do you say that?
It was an error because, okay, at the end of the day, what did he do with the money? It is now in debt.
There are projects because you can't take a bond without specific projects being listed as the reason for this bond. For instance, the Ekiti Pavilion is one of those. The civic center is one of those. There are projects and there are road projects as
You see,
well.
there is a difference between what is nice to have and what is economic imperative. If you take loan to go for nice to have projects, you are putting the state in trouble. Look, fancy, all that are not what the people need. The primary elements of survival, the basic elements of survival are still crucial to the average of a Ekiti person. There are no good roads. The roads became bad. You recall the rain that has been falling in recent times. How much damage is it to the roads? If you are going from here to from Akure, you go through. Look at the way you can't go to Ekiti anyway through Igbara, Iju, another and the Ikere road because it's very bad. Now, how will I, regardless of whether it is federal road or state road, whatever, at least these two governors should have fixed the road. But if you decide to go through Igbara, okay, Igbara, Odo,
Nilawe.
get to Elawe. The road that was finished 2 years ago, get there, you can see that it's almost collapsing.
That mini culvert.
When you're about to begin the ascent of that
Yes.
thing, you see what happens there. Now, when you take loan, a bond, want to do projects, what is the return on investment of the Ekiti Governor's Lodge on Okeayoba? What is the return on investment so far on the pavilion? What is the return on investment so far on the civic center? You measure return on investment by saying this is how much I spent, this is how much income I've generated. What has been the income? Have these projects promoted tourism? No. How many tourists can come and say they want to go to Kayoba and get there free? Nobody. The question then is what has been the economic value of this project to the average Ekiti person? That is the question we must ask. We must ask ourselves. On the other hand, when Oni was in government, he constructed so many roads, built so many houses, did so much for education, did so much for health. Yet he did not take a single one kobo loan,
Not even from local banks.
not from local banks. He left governance, only left governance in October, on October 15, 2010, without owing anybody. That is a fact. I went to DMO just to check again. The debt
Debt
management
management
office in
office, yes.
Abuja to collect the details of Ekiti debt from 2006 to 2021. What I found out will surprise you, that our debt as domestic and external are both gone up astronomically. They started the ascent when they took over from Euni. They started going up, but they even went more higher up when Fauci took over. Okay, to the credit of Kayode Fayemi, he has offset about 5% of the domestic debt. He has paid it off, but it's still very high. But the external debt has gone even much higher under his administration. But the offset that he made, I can tell you now that I'm hearing stories now. I don't have the concrete evidence to show that, and I hate to do speculation. But it is being said, we shall find out soon, it is being said that he has taken additional 12 billion naira loan to offset pension and other things like that. You see, you don't take loan for consumption. You take loan for investment so that you can have some return with which you are then going to meet your consumption needs. That is a principle. That's a basic economic principle that anybody who wants to lead in governance must know. And that is not what we are seeing happening under these two people, Fayose Fayemi.
When you look at Ekiti State from 1999, when Nigeria returned to civil rule, uh, what do you think, if you look at successive governments in the state, what do you think the state keeps getting wrong with every election, at every election cycle?
All the state keeps getting wrong at every election cycle is the state has always presumed that this is Ekiti, so it's going to do well. It's not always so. For example, look, Ni Adebayo became governor on the ticket of his father, General Adebayo, who everybody liked. Everybody loved that man. But nobody anticipated that Ni Adebayo was going to run a Jaramba administration in Ekiti State. By Jamba administration, I mean, it was more of hedonism than actual specific governance. So it laid a bad foundation. The Jarama Foundation is more or less what it has been building upon ever since that time. Now, when you look at what E11 tried to do, E11 will have done a very good job in laying the foundation for Ekiti. But E11 shot itself in the foot.
Perhaps you became too power drunk, the group,
Or disunited, or disoriented,
or we can say power drunk,
power drunk, maybe.
out of selfish interest.
I don't know if it was Chevy because I was one of
Because everybody was fighting for his own.
no, but I was one of the
Some
leaders.
people were fighting on the side of Oni. Some people were fighting on the side of
No,
Fahimi.
but I was one of the leaders of E11.
You were fighting on the side of Oni.
I fought on the side of Uniba. I didn't fight because
Ojudu was fighting on the side of Fahimi.
That's also another thing that I found very strange. Because Ojudu was the strategic, was the head of strategy team of Segun Oni campaign before the primaries took place. So that's also another strange development about E11. That's how what I mean when I said we stabbed ourselves in the back, we shot ourselves in the foot. It is this kind of inconsistency in our focus that created some of the problems that we have been having now. Okay, when Fauci was going to be governor, a better person might have been SK Babalola at that time, the late SK, but somehow all the elites were in support of SK Babalola, Professor Borishade, all of them, they came to support, even Sheguni, they all came to support SK Babalola, but somehow it was turned around. See what Fauci made of it the first time around. See the kind of governance he led, and then when Fauci came, a lot of people expected so much. He had all these things. I am Obama friend. I am this. But this is second term.
Did he ever say that? I think that is just one thing that people say to spy Fahimi. Did he ever say he was Obama's friend?
You see, when people quote you, if you and I, you and I, we are talking in your office, we're not on set like this. I can boast anything. If I make boast, and then somebody is in your office, he asks me and come and quote me. Is that a wrong quote? Will it be wrong?
Has he said it to you before?
He said
In
it
your
before.
presence?
He said it before.
To you?
Not to me.
In your presence?
No, I know why. Okay, let us drop it.
Okay, just go ahead.
I just want to make a point here. What ruined? You see, I don't know what might have motivated his second coming. I can't say it was this. But let us say he could have done well. But part of the reasons why he failed. As far as I'm concerned, he has failed. Is because of this ego, this arrogance. There are things Ekiti cannot afford. Ekiti cannot afford the use of private jets.
Who uses private jets?
He charters jets to fly all over Nigeria. He charter flights.
Are you sure it's on the bill of the government?
Where is the industry is running? That is funding the program. This is campaign that is running. Is there a kind of investment that you are getting a return you are using to fund presidential campaign? Look, we know how government runs.
Doesn't he have donors, campaign donors,
let
giving
them
him funds?
let them publish them. Those who pay for a charter flights. To charter a flight, Daily Trust did a good job by reporting all of them, all the 5 or 6 of them that are using charter flights all over for their presidential campaign. But it was not for presidential campaign alone. Look, if you are going to fly every time at a cost of 80 million, it is 5 million naira per hour and you need a minimum of 8 hours charter rent. Charter, if you are moving from Akure to Abuja, the plane will be waiting for you 1 hour. You are traveling to from Ekiti to Akure. Then you are there. You do your business. You are moving to the city from the airport. And so anyway, it's about 80 million in a month. Say imagine how much that could have been used to pay for pension, for salary, and several things that are deficient.
All right, so if you're just tuning in, it's Conversation with Adaba FM, and my guest is Big Ben, Mr. Ben Ogunṣuashe, who was special advisor on policy and strategy to Chief Segun Oni when he was governor of Ekiti State between 2007 and 2010. Let's take another break now. We'll be right back.
Chief Segun Oni CSO káàbọ̀ ṣé dáadáa ló dé gbogbo ọmọ Èkìtì pátápátá náà ti ń retí rẹ wọn níbi tó bá ṣe rere lọ́jọ́ sí lóde mọ ọkọ̀ rẹ tí wàwá rèbú tí ayọ̀ lọ́jọ́ sí táwọn alákọ̀rí dá dúró wọn níbi tí wọ́n dá dúró sí náà ló ṣì wà. Èkìtì kọ̀yà ó tó gẹ́ Èkìtì kọ̀yà a ti mọ bí à ń lọ Èkìtì kọ̀yà ó tó gẹ́ gbogbo wa ńlá ti gbọ́n ta ti mọ bí à ń rè ẹni bá ń fẹ́rẹ̀ lẹ́kìtì kó dìbò fún Ṣẹ́gun Òní ẹni bá ń fẹ́ gbáyé gbádùn lẹ́kìtì kó tẹ̀ka fẹ́gbẹ́ ẹlẹ́ṣin a ti gbépo wò a ti gbómi wò a ti mọ bí wọ́n ṣe wúwo tó ojú kan ṣoṣo ní gbogbo Èkìtì fẹ́ tọ̀ sí lọ́tẹ̀ yìí dandan ni kó ru bí ọṣẹ ìbò Ṣẹ́gun Òní ò dẹ̀ ṣe é gbé ẹni bá dọ́rùn rẹ̀ wò á kàbùkù. Ọlọ́run ṣetán láti gbà wá lẹ́kìtì o ló ṣe rán Ṣẹ́gun Òní sí wa. Ìgbà tọ́lọ́run ṣetán láti gbà wá nínú ìgbèkùn o ló ṣe gbé Ṣẹ́gun Òní dìde.
It's 26 minutes past 2 from the studios of Adaba 8.9 FM, and it's still Conversation with Adaba FM. Mr. Ben Ogunṣuashe is still very much in the studio. Let's continue with the conversation. So now, you describe Segun Oni as someone who is forthright, who is very honest, very decent. Now, help me make sense of this. One of the things that the opposition has bandaged so much about the administration of Segun Oni, which you were part of, is the issue of the cows brought in from, I think, South Africa, which is a big issue. We learned that no milk was produced, and many of those cows eventually died, whatever happened to them. But we've seen now, from what we've seen, that the present government brought Promasidor, and we hear that milk is being produced there, and the cows, nothing is, the cows are doing well. What really happened with that project?
If we could dairy farm is finally working, kudos. I praise them for that. But what happened under Segun Oni was this. Again, you have to know that that was an administration under siege. Throughout these 3.5 years, Segun Oni governed under siege. That's one point you must remember. Segun Oni came into office on May 29, 2007. Okay? Now, he set up his administration and started moving. By 2008, he made arrangement to have the cows come in because he wanted, one of the commitments he made to Igbo people was that he was going to make that place function. This was a promise that he made, and he meant to do it. But suddenly, we had the first challenge. We had to go for the run. Segun Oni left office. Suddenly, why was
In between that time, yes, that was in 2009.
2009?
There was a rerun. Odeyemi was the acting governor.
Odeyemi was the acting governor, who at that time, if you recall, again, was under the influence of more of AC.
But it was in the PDP.
It was in the PDP.
So you're saying he was sympathetic towards the ACN?
Yeah, was he also went through this issue of the House of Assembly. The gang up against him when what they were doing at that time. You all had to speak the truth at this point in time. This is history now, and you can't lie about history. What they were doing at that time is that when they need money, they instigate the AC people to make issue. Then they want money to come from money or from anywhere they can get it. They were using that. I only say he was no longer going to play game with that ball with them. So they were not also happy with it. But anyway, Odeyemi was the acting governor during that period. Then Oni came back again. When Oni came back, it was all challenge throughout again until eventually, less than a year later, the salami issue came up. Now, in between, Oni still left a good number of cows in Ikunderi. But somehow, strangely, we saw some of them taken to Kwara State. We
By
saw
who?
that's what we don't know. You know, he was no longer in government. So there was no way for him to use any state machinery to investigate all of it. But this is what we saw. My attention was called. I went to go and see there's some equipment that we bought that were found in Kwara State, which we said, but we never came back to government again. So there's no way of pursuing a criminal investigation about some of these things. And this may just also be part of why they don't want to need to come back. But anyhow, whatever they did, if it is producing now, good news. It's good for Ekiti.
So during the time of Segun Oni, he was able to pay pensions, gratuities, and salaries. How was he able to do that?
Again, like I will always say, that in spite of the economic pressure we all live under, there is still enough to manage if you are prudent with your finances. What Oni did was that, look, you can't say you're a commissioner and you are living a frivolous life under him. You can't say you're a special advisor and he will not entertain your frivolity. Only we meet you at the point of your need, not at the point of your greed. So he was able to manage money so that when you look at the pension from 1994, that's the old Ondo state, up to 2007 when he came in, he calculated it, he came to 1.76 billion naira, all of it together. He just said, look, let us pay.
He
I mean,
paid all.
gratuity. He paid it all. Let us pay all of this so that we are not to anybody. Because Oni, after studying what he met on ground and so on, came up with a term, post-retirement poverty. He saw that that was the most prevalent poverty in Ekiti State. Ekiti State is a civil service state. People work diligently 35 years, they now go years upon years upon years, they are waiting for their gratuity to be paid. The purpose of gratuity is that you get a bulk money that you are going to invest so that you can use it to live the rest of your life. While you be receiving monthly pension that will give you a little bit of sustenance. That is what gravity is all about. All you discover was that when you are not paid or they are paying you in bits, the gratuity that you are supposed to have once, then they say this year we pay you about 5% because you don't have money. Silly excuse. But he just paid it because he said he is committed to reducing post-retirement poverty. And I am happy that a lot of people who retired benefited from this program and expressed sincere, deep appreciation to Segun over that act.
Do you subscribe to the idea that is being pushed now that pensioners should let go certain part of their gratuity so that they can get it through loans from the bank?
I don't agree. I'll tell you why I don't agree to that. When you are working, the labor, in fact, I'm an expert in labor relations. I worked in National Way and I went to really good training on human resource management. Let me tell you this, when you are working, your pension, if it is contributory pension, you pay, your employer pay. It's supposed to be done on a regular basis, not for them to wait, go and use some money for other things, and then hope they will pay later. Now, when they could not pay, they are negotiating reduction with you. If they have kept faith with the terms of employment that they gave you, you didn't give yourself. They gave it to you and just signed. Now, okay, I agree because you wanted a job. If they had fulfilled the term of agreement, they will not need to delay remittance of your money to where it should go. So it is dishonest to go and be negotiating reduction or go and borrow money from them. It is dishonest. It's not good. That's not the kind of dishonest labor practice we should promote in this country.
Now let's talk about Segun Oni and his chances in the 2018 governorship election. A lot of things that are being bandied around in Ekiti State. One is that Segun Oni does not have funds to prosecute this election. The SDP is begging for money. Uh, there's even this one that I hear from the opposition that Segun Oni is causing people that whoever takes money from anybody on the day of election will be cursed, will be harassed, and all of that. How true is all of these? And is it true that Segun Oni does not have funds to prosecute this election?
You don't go. Chegoni may not have 3 billion, 1 billion that you need because he didn't steal any money from anybody. But good competition, good electoral focus should demand that you will have a well of goodwill from which you can draw. You understand me? Segun Oni has that well of goodwill. People are contributing money to his campaign because you see, we must learn to transform our politics into the way it is done in a place like the US. No leader in the US actually has the money we need to run. The one who had it, Trump, we saw what became of his administration. Usually, people raise money. Ekoni has succeeded in raising good money with which is going to prosecute this election. One thing that you don't find is there are some frivolities that occur during campaign, which is that you are going to visit somebody, this is that I want you to vote for me, you give underground money, 1 million, go and take this, go and help me work, and you don't have that kind of frivolity under Segun Oni. But when it comes to specific needs, for example, if you want to run a successful campaign, you need the media. And media is not free. It costs something. You have to find money to be able to do that. If you want to run a successful campaign, traveling and movement up and down, logistics is not free. You need money. These are the kind of money that we are talking about. We are not lacking in this kind of money. But the kind of frivolous expenditure that you don't have money to pay for talks, for example. That's not part of what we engage in. We want to run a honest campaign that people can actually believe in the issues we are talking about and convince them to use that to vote for us. Not that you are going to force people to go against their conscience. You know, when election, there are three reasons why people should vote. To be honest with you, the first one is you should ask yourself, for me and my community, what's the need for me? What are we going to get out of this? That's one. Number two, people must bear in mind that the vote you cast today, if you don't mind, sir, I'm sure your audience, most of them are Yoruba people. Ṣé o fẹ́ jọrọ̀ tàbí o fẹ́ joró fún ọdún mẹ́rin? Are you going to live in sorrow or are you going to live in joy in 4 years? For this is the second. And the third thing that you must consider when you are voting is that where is the future of the entity in which I'm participating? People must ask themselves those questions. So you allow people to vote their conscience. Free and fair election is what we need.
Okay, now let's quickly. Why should people vote for Segun Oni on June 18th?
People should vote for Segun Oni on June 18 to restore integrity in governance. People should vote for Segun Oni to restore compassion in governance. It is very, very important. People should vote for Segun Oni to secure a better future than we currently have. People should vote for Segun Oni to see improved development in infrastructure, in healthcare, in education. These are areas in which Segun Oni did very well while I was in government. People should vote for Segun Oni if they want to have their salaries on time. Look, money flow in an economy is like blood flow in the body. When you misdirect it, when you mischannel it, there's going to be crisis. That's the kind of crisis we're having now in Ekiti State.
Mr. Ben Ogunchaji, and if you like to speak in Yoruba, maybe because of people who do not understand English, please feel free to do that. Now, let's quickly talk about some of the things. Under this administration, the Fire administration, SCDAs have been created. Should Segun Oni win this election, what is going to happen with these SCDAs?
Well, Segun Oni that in fact started it initially, but he didn't have time to complete it. When Fire came, after him, Fire turned it to an election instrument. He did not create LCDA, he did not proceed with the creation of LCDA until around 2013, 2014, when he was about to leave. I needed it for his re-election. Then Fayose came, solved it. Then Fayose came again. He has waited till almost the very end to create it. Segun Oni believes in the LCDA. He will leave it. He will leave. But one thing he's saying is that who says he must be 19? Who says he cannot be more? That is the issue. It can be more. But what is important is that he will do two things that are very critical because the ICT that has been created is not working. But to make it work, Oni will leave local government autonomy in the way it's supposed to be. He will not touch the allocation. He did it for 3.5 years. He did not touch one kobo of local government allocation. Then, number two, there are areas of where local governments are supposed to generate fund, advertisement, tenement rate, all those things. State governments under these two people have taken over all of this things from the local government, so they don't have income. The IGR is very low. Oni will encourage the IGR should be generated from by the local governments. It is only when you have this that SCTS can truly function the way it is supposed to function.
If I hear you correctly, Mr. Ben, you're saying that when Segun Oni was governor, there was nothing like the state government tampering with the allocation for the local government.
At all, he did not do that. Let me tell you what he did. There is something they call JAC,
Yes.
a Joint Account Allocation
How did
Committee.
that work?
It's between the state and
I know, Jack.
they all
How did it
come.
work under Segun Oni?
It worked the way it was supposed to work. They all come together. They will agree. Total government will agree. This project, for example, is common to all of us. So, in order to have economy of scale benefits, we want to pull it together. He says, okay, you're on your own. Pull it together. This is how much you are contributing. He did not, under any circumstance, take one kobo from them. He allowed them to do their thing the way they wanted to do it. He did not take their money. Now, he was the first person in the whole of Nigeria to publish in Punch and in Tribune the joint account allocation report of Ekiti State and the money that all went through. How the money went. He published it in Tribune. If I have the date somewhere, I can give you the date if you want. But he published in those two newspapers for everybody to see. Now, if you are doing under the table game or doing you will not have the courage to make that publication. He did it.
Now, let's talk. One other thing that I'd like to talk about is what is known in Ekiti as Owarubo, which Fayemi started during his first term. And I know a lot of aged people in Ekiti State are really looking forward to this. Should Segun Oni win this election? Is that going to be a thing, or is it an idea that will be consigned to the dustbin?
Well, I've not really discussed this, but let me answer the guess for you, Megan, and I'm sure I will be correct on this one. Owarupo is under governance in fraud. They will pay 2 months, forget it, and then come. I mean, they are not paying regularly anymore. Right now,
Under Fayemi.
yes, they are not paying regularly. They are just making noise about it. It is not being paid. People can call, maybe people can call anybody is receiving it can tell me they are receiving it. I'll tell them they are not receiving it. They are not. The question is this: you are talking here of welfare for the old people in Ekiti State. The first thing you want to do is this. I can tell you for free that more than 60% of the old people in Ekiti State have done one work or the other for government. Pay them their gratuity, pay them their pension. They will be
What
left.
about those who did not work for government?
Very good. Those who are farmers, secure for them what we did Edoni Onize first time, which is that guaranteed price for their farm produce, guaranteed them price. If what Awolowo did in the old western region, the commodity board, if the price of commodity is falling, government will buy. Government will then go and sell it at a different time. Then encourage them to have market outside the Ekiti. You need to reach out to the big markets. You need to help them. That is part of what Segun Oni did to help the farmers earn greater income. If farmers are earning good income, if cocoa farmers are earning good income, they will be less dependent on government. If you do the roads to the rural roads, if you focus on them, produce will not spoil on the farm. They will have the means of moving this produce to the market. These are all the elements of poverty, the catalyst to poverty in Ekiti State. Remove all of these catalysts. Ekiti people are not lazy or indolent people. If they see good leadership, Ekiti people can also be enterprising.
Now, let's talk about security. It's a national issue. But what can a state like Ekiti State, because kidnapping and has also become an issue in Ekiti State, especially around the Oye, Ilejemeje, mobile axis, and it does as well, areas like Ayetoro. What can Ekiti State government do to ensure that at least insecurity is handled, reduced to the barest minimum in the state. Instances of kidnapping and other security issues.
First of all, there are aspects of these things that is national phenomenon.
Yes.
Kidnapping is a general issue under the APC government at the federal level, and they have succeeded in spreading kidnapping and banditry to the rest of Nigeria. But coming to Ekiti specifically, Segun Oni in 2009 instituted a program. That's after he came back. He instituted a security program in association with the commissioner of police at that time, Mr. Kaito. He instituted that program with him. I was the person who was part managing that program at that time. Somebody, there's also a colleague who was managing it with me. What did he do? First, you got vehicles for rapid movement for the police. You got motorcycles, fast moving motorcycles for them. Then you have communication. Communication is very important to security. If anywhere in Ekiti at that time want to need the architecture, security architecture was setting up, link to Google was that to Google Live was that if you are at a location, let's say you are in Oye and a security infraction, there is a specific number you dial and you are going to have response from several directions to that particular place. If kidnappers, if armed robbers, if criminals realize that there will be instant, swift government response that will be overwhelming, they will shake themselves. Colin Powell had a doctrine when he was alive about moving, about
Former
fighting.
U.S. Secretary of State.
Yes, about fighting. With that, you must be ready to confront your enemy with overwhelming force. If you don't have the means of mobilizing that overwhelming force and your response is lethargic, they will have the field day. Okay. Or Ijesha Ishu people, for example, about Fatma and so on in a Ikole local government, they be talking or kidnapping. Nobody is passing through that road anymore. My question is, there will be no single government response. Has there been any? No. Since that time.
Now let's talk about earlier we mentioned you mentioned funds. Let's talk about vote buying and vote selling. Do you think, well, what you know in Ekiti State, in elections that you're witnessing in Ekiti State,
Yeah.
do you think that the electorate in Ekiti State is politically mature enough to not let money dictate
They may not be,
their
but
their
they,
voting pattern rather?
they may not be in totality, but they are waking up. The reason I say so is that people are now realizing that the Boko Shebe is a dangerous phenomenon to our democracy. The Boko Shebe, okay, you will cook the obe, but within 3 days, ó máa kan. Tọ́bẹ̀ bá ti kan, àwa ju oró ọdún mẹ́rin. Nobody wants to go through that experience again. People have realized it. You see, the Boko Shebe is deceitful, it is fraudulent, and it is inimical to our democratic evolution.
Do the people in Ekiti know that?
They know that I sit down in meetings with them. I sit down in ward meetings. I've been to several wards to attend their meetings. People are beginning to realize that the Boko Sebe is a dangerous phenomenon to the emergence of Ekiti State because the two proponents of the Boko Sebe, one is the author of stomach infrastructure, one is the exponent of the Boko Sebe. The two people are saying the same language. They have seen that that failed them. People are actually asking for change, but not the kind of change that the APC promised us 8 years ago that they are failed to deliver on. I'm talking of real change that will improve the life of the people. So they know that the Boko Sebe is a fatal phenomenon in Ekiti. And I can assure you, whichever way this election goes, that is coming on June 18th, if Segun Oni wins, as I hope he will win, it will be a vindication that the Boko Sebe is dead in Ekiti. If he does not win, I can assure you that the next 4 years, people are going to see that the Boko Sebe has failed them again.
Let's talk about Segun. He was governor. The last time he was governor was in 2010. That's 12 years ago. Segun is no longer young. That's one of the things that I've had the opposition say. Does he have the same energy to be governor just as he had 10 years ago?
You see, I will quote what the APC national leader,
Asiwaju Bola Ahmed.
I'm looking for a
That was not applying to be
It's
a bricklayer.
It's not a bricklayer. It's not applying to be a cement mixer. It's not applying to be a logger, to be using as to log. You understand? Governance is intellectual issue. You must have the intellect. You must be able to read memos. You must be able to listen. You must have good people around
Around you.
you who actually understand process management. If you are skillful in process management, then you can think through, you can articulate governance issues and look at it from initiation, propagation to termination and see what benefit lies in it before you embark on it. You do not need to have the kind of labor, physical exertion that is required. Segun is only 68 anyway, so you understand me. At least, thank God, he's more younger than what we have at the federal level.
Okay. Now, how has the campaign been in the places you've been to in Ekiti State?
The campaign has been good. People have been welcoming us. The challenge we are facing now actually is the violence of the opposition. Segun Oni's train was attacked in Ekwanlaye by APC thugs. We confirmed them to be APC thugs before because we know the people involved, and we wrote a petition to the Director General of Police. I don't know what he has done, what the IG has done about that, but I know we wrote the petition. The deputy governor's vehicle was attacked in Ado Ekiti. We also know who was behind it. It was also APC people. Ayetoro, there has been crisis there. But in Ikole, for example, where one I saw, APC people came, they attacked. They attacked a young man was doing a rally, and the APC came to attack him. But of course, APC also, SDP returned the same.
Is that the truth today? But I read one yesterday that said SDP members attacked the family house of the wife of Oyebanji. Is it true? In Ado Ekiti.
SDP will never, ever, ever launch an offensive operation. SDP, Social Democratic Party that I know, will never, ever. We are apostles of free governance, free choice. Choice must be free for the people. The people must vote according to their conscience. We are apostles. We are, in fact, we are beyond this is not beyond any consideration for me. You must allow people to be free to take their decision, both their conscience, their mind. So anything done to influence how people will vote in terms of inducement, in terms of violence, these are anti-democratic principles. And Ekiti, with the reputation we have for intellectual output, they say Ekiti has one professor or the other. We cannot be who we are, the background that we have, and be condoning anti-democratic activities. It is not going to come from SDP. I can assure you that.
If you look at the preparations being made by INEC, are you satisfied? Is the SDP satisfied?
No, we
The
are not.
INEC would deliver on free and fair election.
Well, again, we don't like to speculate ahead of the game. All we can do is to continue to tell them to please be fair, allow a level playing field. Do not allow any party to rig this election. Do not be involved in any underhand deals with anybody as far as this election is concerned. Let the votes count as people have voted at the various polling units. Do not play any hanky-panky game. Your vivas machine, let it not spoil when it should not spoil. And then you are looking for technicians to repair when it was a deliberate act of sabotage. These are things we are begging, and please be free, be fair. Do not do anything to hate any party. Just do your job according to the law.
Is there anything you would like to add as we round up?
Now, what I would like to add is to tell Ekiti people to be careful with the way they vote on June 18. Like I always say, tó o bá fẹ́ dìbò kó o ṣe bẹ̀, ìbò yẹn ó lè jẹ́ oró ọdún mẹ́rin ló fẹ́ jẹ́. Ṣùgbọ́n tó o bá dìbò gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọkàn ẹ̀ ṣe sọ, tó o ronú sí nǹkan tí ìlú ẹ tó máa rí jẹ ń bẹ̀, tí ilé ẹ ẹbí ẹ tó máa rí jẹ ń bẹ̀, ó lè jẹ́ pé ìbò ọrọ̀ ló fẹ́ dì nítorí wípé ibi tá a wà yìí àti APC o àti PDP o wọ́n ti fi ìyà jẹ Nàìjíríà, wọ́n ti fi ìyà jẹ púpọ̀. Èkìtì ti wá kọ̀yà ó tó gẹ́.
All right, thank you very much, Big Ben, for coming on to this edition of Conversation with Adaba FM. Thank you very much. Adaba FM, we wish you luck we approach June 18. My name is Vijay Daniels, and this is where we drop the curtain on today's edition of Conversation with Adaba FM. Do join us same time next Monday for an entirely new edition. Thank you very much.
Chief Segun Oni CSO káàbọ̀ ṣé dáadáa ló dé gbogbo ọmọ Èkìtì pátápátá náà ti ń retí rẹ. Wọ́n